Hey YouTube, how are you? Hey, I just want you to know I just took delivery of this new Typhon Terror XIX. And I did a lot of search looking for these Chinese excavators. I first started off with the auction and I purchased two different excavators. I purchased a VA 15P. And that was from Miva. And then the second excavator I purchased was the AGT QK 16R. And I want to say, for those machines on the auction, they flooded the market in late 2024. All around, people were seeing these at auctions, and I kind of got hooked too, and so I bought one. And I actually won two excavators accidentally, but really what that led to me was there was nothing like having experience of having it and owning it yourself. So, I bought it from the auction. They were $3,700 a piece plus the auction premium, then taxes in the state. I ended up selling both of those. One, because I listed the extra one I didn't need. And then while I was learning about all of them, it led me to this unit here. So I'm not a professional. This is like raw YouTube. So you can hate on my video. This is just rough. I just felt like I wanted to contribute out there because all I could find from a YouTube video, the only thing I could find on this machine was the manufacturer video clip from sales from like a 45-second clip. So I was like, hey, you know what? I'm going to take delivery of this. I'm going to share it. So it is what it is. Don't hate. Again, I'm not a professional. I'm not an operator. I would say I'm an operator of a skid steer, which is behind that Bobcat, because I have a few hundred hours on that where I have zero on an excavator. I got it from the back of the truck into the garage. It's snowing out and it's probably going to just sit in the garage. But I was changing the oil, and the more and more I thought about it, I was like, oh, I still owe it to YouTube because, man, if there's one person out there that's thinking about buying this, then I help someone. So there it is. Anyway, this is the Typhon Terror XIX. I looked at two different models. They had an XVIII and of the Terror, and both I bought it on eBay. Obviously, the one disclaimer I have here is you're not comparing apples to apples. I told you what I purchased before, and the only thing was owning the others led me to wanting to buy this one that you see here because there are things that I feel like, you need to know. Like when you buy these Chinese excavators, they typically, if they're on a gas model, they come with the Briggs & Stratton or they come with the ROPS motor. Both, plenty of horsepower technically that runs those excavators, and you'll find those in the 1 ton up to what they claim 2 ton. And there's some really good videos out there on understanding when they advertise 2 tons. Even on this model, eBay said that this was a 2-ton model. It's actually a 1.8K model, hence actually the XIX, standing for 18, which is actually 1.8 tons. So, but I'm not all caught up on that because the other model that I was looking at, the XVIII, claimed it was truly a 2-ton, and it is slightly heavier than this unit here. And, anytime you get to more weight, the more stability you get, more structural stability. Well, those other two excavators I mentioned kind of led me to this for many different factors because some of them don't have hydraulic oil coolers. Some of them don't have hydraulic oil filters. In fact, many of them do not. And then sometimes, the hydraulics are not always protected. So it looks like, you have to decide when you're buying these Chinese excavators, how much mods are you going to want to get into, right? That's really what it came down to. And to be upfront, I'm just getting to an age where I don't want to, and luckily I'm grateful enough I could actually afford this model. Now this model is a diesel. It's a Kubota 902. The other Terror, the XVIII uses a Kubota motor, but it's the 700 series, 722. What I wanted, the latest and greatest of what kind of comes out. The 902 engine is what this one has from Kubota. Yes, it's diesel. That's why I say you're not comparing apples to apples, because you're also not comparing price. That's what I mean by apples to apples. So what I'm just sharing with you was like the QK16R came with a hydraulic cooler, but it didn't come with a hydraulic filter for the oil. And these Chinese things get shipped out, and there's chips and metals, and you look at the tank and you just read everybody's review. I've been a lot on Facebook, looking around at different forums I've been a part of for a while, sharing some of my story. But I just took delivery of this today. So again, there may be a follow-up video if I get good reaction on, hey, does it work and is it very good? I just want to just be pointing out what kind of led me to this unit. And more than anything is I really could find absolutely nothing on this particular model right here. And so I purchased it on eBay on a Sunday. It took like 3 days until I got a response back with what they claimed was a tracking number, but that tracking number led me to no website I could really track on. But it made me feel better about the money that I'd spent on this excavator. And I want you to know it was like almost twice as much as the other gas models, but I was okay with that because it just led me into what I really wanted at the end of the day. And so, again, just my disclaimer, it was just because this model had no information out is really why I'm posting this video. There's no other reason I'm posting it. I'm just hoping to help somebody else who's trying to find a little bit of information on this. Of course, the 902 motor from Kubota, there's lots of information on that, filters and things like that you can pick up. But I want to do a walkthrough on this just a little bit. This also led me to, just showing you a little bit about some of the differences that's helpful. Okay. Now, the high back seat is nice. I'm very short. So again, I apologize for the video. I'm not an expert, so I don't have all the video equipment. I'm trying to post something simple. So the high back on the seat with the armrest, that's nice. Of course, the VA15P was the model that stepped up to have the hydraulic controls here. They call it pilot controls, versus having all the controls up forward right here. So some of the excavators, the Chinese excavators, have all the controls here. Maybe there's some advantages to keep things simple. All your hydraulic hoses are there. But I will tell you, then you have to lean forward to utilize these forward controls. Especially, now I'm very short, I'm 5'4", so pretty short. And that's why I didn't really mind the forward controls that I had on the QK16R. But then, this one has the pilot controls like the 15P that I was using, or that I sold, I should say. I really liked the quality of these rubber pads that are here on the foot pedals. I think they're a lot nicer. Of course, when you spend more, you get more, not just with the diesel, but this has the swing boom. Also, the XVIII, which I kind of compared the two against, did not have the same tracks. So these tracks that you're seeing down here, these are a wider track. So you got a wider track, and versus the smaller Chinese units, the track is also longer. It actually has another wheel located right down where my foot is, where sometimes they only have two. This one has 3 and a longer track, so it provides more stability. So one of the biggest things that people complain left and right is it's very jerky. I would say a lot of that is on the pilot. That's me, like the driver, the operator. If you know how to finesse and use the controls properly, you can get away. Also, the other half is people have their RPMs up too high for what they need, and it jerks them all around. So, like I said, operator is some of it, but I will tell you at the end of the day, when you operate a very expensive machine, those cushion valves and those things that they have and those are really nice because it does help with some lack of operator skills. So you don't have to be quite as particular with these controls. Again, I'm doing forward focus on my camera to kind of keep my audio okay. This particular model has this new display that shows, the battery level and the temperature, those types of things. Your hour meter is here, things like that. You have lights. If this had additional features or controls to extend the tracks wider, they had a button here for future use. This Typhon XIX does not come with the tracks that retract. And because I didn't necessarily feel like I really needed to have that. So because a lot of those were actually less weight machines, it was hard to find one that had retractable close to the 2 ton that I was going for. So this was kind of, what I was willing to give up for the price, I guess. I could go into 2.5 tons and then you're spending, 13, 15,000 at the time I'm searching for. But I really just, what I loved is how nice looking this unit is. If you look at it, it's really nice. I love this upgraded. I did talk to a couple of distributors who distribute ones that are very similar to this, and this is the latest, like end of 2024, beginning of 2025. So I think when they flush out, you'll start to see this style more because you have the swing door that's so nice. This just opens up really nice to the motor and the engine compartment. I just changed the oil. So part of why I'm out here in my garage is that I wanted to change the oil. So that's why you see that new fancy white oil filter. And I just like that it has everything right here that's very accessible. So of course you get what you pay for. I know when people are like, well, of course you're comparing $5,000 to $10,000. That's not fair. Not intended to do that here. The only thing I'm intended, as I said, was just to give someone information about the XIX. Hey, if this gives you a little more info and maybe it'll encourage you to buy it, maybe it won't. This is why. But all right, so this piece right here is very heavy duty, where the other ones, this is where it gets some of its weight, by the way, to push it from the 1.6 to the 1.8. That's very heavy. That's great for stability. I love that they have the air filter. I just love everything's accessible, like my Bobcat. I'm so used to the Bobcat just having everything there. The one thing that's not accessible is that dang battery. On these Chinese excavators, I want you to know, get my hand out of the way here. One thing I want you to know about these Chinese excavators is they do an amazing job with wrapping around the battery terminals with these plastic connectors that are literally like nearly molded around the terminals. And they're on there so good that it makes it absolutely difficult to attach accessories, because I'm out here with the trickle charger attachment so that I can trickle charge this thing. I don't really plan on using this probably till springtime. It's just starting to be winter here. And so I'm just out here in my shop and just changing the oil. And I'm like, oh gosh, I so wanted to get something on YouTube because I couldn't find anything and I was frustrated. So this is kind of nice if I would have had this kind of data. But I just love how accessible all these filters are. Even the water separators, just they're just right there, except for the battery. The battery is, I'll point it out where it's at. First thing I'll tell you is it's not behind this thing right here. I took that off, and that actually is the compartment for the all the fuses. So I'm gonna kind of make you dizzy here while I turn around. Towards the front here, this is actually where the battery is. I took this off originally the front. There's 2 bolts on the front. There's one here and then one over there that you see. You take that off, this panel comes off, and the battery's very accessible, and that's really simple. But the problem is with it being molded on there, on those connectors, you're either going to have to kind of tear into that and expose those, or go to where the wires are ran and tie into where they're connected to. And that's what I intend to do on this, because I got to have a trickle charger battery maintainer on this, because I just know I'm not going to use it much. With the glow plugs, as you know, on a diesel, so you have to use power and then wait to start it, and then that draws power. I'm going to need it. So also, I wasn't totally sure this was going to fit in my shop. So this are 2 plates here to disconnect, and the canopy comes off. I love that for a garage that I wouldn't be able to typically get this in. I was grateful that I had an 8-foot door so I could drive in. That was nice. I thought I might have to take the canopy off, and I didn't. And also with these, it's probably going to let me leverage accessories like additional LED lights, maybe a light bar across the top, or lights in the back, but you can take these off. I like how strong and sturdy this is versus the 15P was kind of chintzy a little bit, if you will. A lot of the new ones are now coming with seat belts, so I here strongly encourage that. The disconnect for the battery is up here, so I'll probably be tying into that lead that goes to the back of the battery so I can charge it even though the disconnect is enabled. So I like the fit and finish. The fit and finish on this again is what led me from the other ones, because the fit and finish on the others were not so hot. You have here the keys, and what they tell you after you purchase it is to start the machine, you rotate the key to the left. That starts the glow. I haven't noticed that the light over there will turn off when the glow plugs are heated to its proper temperature. And I've heard someone actually wire into that, which sounds kind of cool. But they just said, hey, rotate it to the left, turn it for 5 to 8 seconds, something like that, and then start it. If it doesn't start, then to go to sequence 2, and that is turn it back, let the glow plugs run for 10 seconds, then go ahead and try to start it and repeat the process. So you can read about that if you decide to buy one. They do have the locks for the hydraulics, which is only for the pilots. I kind of found out that, of course you want to lock your hydraulics, because getting in and out while it's started, you could technically rotate the boom and potentially get hurt. So I do like this throttle better than both of the QK16R and the VA15P. I do like how this works better. Of course, it has a different engine on it. The Briggs & Stratton motor was very loud to my ears, and I actually saw someone mod the muffler to make it quieter. And then the ROPS motor I actually liked better, and on the QK16R was smoother to me. So, and it has a different engine pitch. So but obviously the diesel is not as loud of either one. I think it's a lot more because it's a lower tone. It's easier for me. It doesn't hurt my ears as much. The next thing I really like about this versus many of the others is you have the cap right here for the fuel. The diesel fuel is right here, and the hydraulics is right here. So fueling this up is super easy. It's just right here, and this is the hydraulic fuel, hydraulic oil. Now, on all these Chinese things, you're going to want to probably take it very carefully, heat these up and pull them off, because, it kind of has a gas symbol here for the diesel, and then at least it does label it properly, where some of them are different. But what I really also like is the sight glass. If you notice, the sight glass here for the fuel tank is right here. And this is just super easy to just look in, stare at, and go, Where's my fuel level? Oh, it's full. And then right down below it is my hydraulic level. So I love how clear this is and how easy it is to see. I will plan on changing the hydraulic oil. I changed the engine oil. Sorry about that. I'll see if I can clip that out, but put my hand over the camera. I like the accessibility of seeing those. Also, I don't know if many of the other ones have it or not, but it's something that I learned. If you want to lock the swing boom so the swing boom doesn't come in and out, there's a switch right here that unlocks it and that locks it. It just keeps the pedal from moving so that you don't accidentally are using this to move forward and back, left, right, and accidentally hit the boom. So that's kind of a neat feature. I don't know how nice it is to have the swing boom. I guess I'll find out. I'll see if I can get my face out of here so you can see it a little bit more. But also, if you notice here, look at how protected all of these hydraulic cables are. These are all really well protected going in. It's kind of rounded metal here where it's welded. And then these are protected here. Everything about this has like a new generation of fixes or things that people kind of didn't like about the others. And I think, what I can applaud is the engineers and the folks working on these are working very hard to continue to progress the quality and what they do for you more and more. And in fact, one of the other things I wanted to point out is this blade. Look at the blade down here. I'm not sure if you can see off the ground here, but look how far this is off the ground. The biggest complaint many people have is that dozer blade, doesn't come off the ground very far. So if you get off camber a little bit, it makes it difficult. But man, they did a phenomenal job on that blade. It really lifts it off the ground. I'm really happy with that. Now, when I bought this, they did not say, I actually bought a 3-way diverter valve. What that does is, of course, the 15P did not come with a hydraulic thumb, which is a requirement for me. I'm going to be using this to set some of the big rounds that I get onto my log splitter so that I can split the log. And I'll have to use 2 people, but the thumb was really important to me. I want this. But I couldn't believe that it came with a 3-way diverter valve. I even asked them, can you pay extra? And they said no. So I actually ordered it from a site. It came in the mail with the extra tubing. And it turns out that I didn't need it. So am I impressed? I'm overly impressed because this wasn't supposed to come with it. Very happy with it. What I don't know yet is whether or not down here, I bought a set of attachments, and I don't know if these bolts are 30 millimeter versus 25, if I recall. Don't quote me on it, but there is a different thickness on those bolts on some models, and so 90% of them, like under 2 ton, will probably have the 25 millimeter. So I don't know. I'm really hoping my quick attach will attach onto that. The other thing about this model, I have to say, again, I'll make you dizzy, so I apologize already, but is down here, these are just so much, these Zerks are so much more protected. And they're protected even down here. So I'll kind of zoom in on that so you can see how these are just protected by metal so they don't break off. That's kind of a big complaint. And I will tell you that if you talk to 10 different people, 5 people will say one thing, 5 will say the other. Leave the flat pin type grease zerk in so they don't get hit or bumped by dirt. And then you also have the ones that have male tips to them. And those, which I really like because obviously my Bobcat, and then most people will buy a battery operated grease gun. And of course I have one for my Bobcat. So anything I can do to keep things kind of same to one another. So I already bought all the Zerks. It turns out this already had all the male Zerks. I haven't found any with the flat just yet. So again, another amazing thing about the Typhon, when you spend that kind of money, you might be concerned, like, because I'm buying it on eBay. That's why I was happy to use my credit card to have some insurance there, because I have high-level insurance on my card. And I just, the fit and finish of this exceeded my expectation. So I know that there's another half of having expectations on an excavator is actually using it, which I already disclosed I haven't yet. So let's wait till part 2, if you will. Okay, we'll do a part 2. Only if I get good feedback, I'll consider it. But I can tell you one thing, because I had to pull it off the semi-truck trailer. The controls, there was like everything about it that got me very excited, even though I drove it 200-300 feet down the driveway. But I will tell you, it's not 2-speed. This one is just as dang slow as everything else. So I do have a trailer that if my neighbor down the street is going to want my assistance, that sucker's going on a trailer and we're trailering it, because it is dang slow. It took me, I've seen videos where people walk faster, like 4 times faster than how these crawl, But again, I don't know what else you'd want to see on it. I will say that these hydraulic lines, I'm going to try to put the camera down here. One thing is that the ground clearance on this is definitely better than also the hydraulic lines. How they go right into the frame. Look at the frame. If you can see back in there, there are rubber gaskets around it. Also, they're protected hoses wrapped. They just did a really good job, and this really comes off the ground way more. So if you want like another good reason to consider this, if you are wondering if it's worth to spend the money, this does have the plastic canopy, and I guess that's to be determined, because on the QK16R was plastic and it vibrated where the metal I never heard anything on the VA15P that I had. So I did like on both of those units, when you step up from the VA15 to the VA15P, it's just far more accessible. You have a door and you can take side panels off to work on it. That was important to me. These panels also you can take off. And so I've already taken off a couple panels already. And I really like, come back down here, I like this fitting, how this panel is good. And also, by the way, these panels are insulated panels. They have that noise deadening material on them. And let's see if the engine one does too. Let me show that to you. This right here is going to help keep the noise down, as you know. It's pretty obvious. But the other ones don't have it. So I can just say that I really, when I started it up and I'm driving it, I was like, wow, I love how quiet it is. And that made a huge difference. I'll try to do this. Let's just see. It has an alternator in it. I really don't think the other ones have alternators. I could be wrong, but this one is right here. It's like super easy to access. The hydraulic oil filter right here, fuel filter. Everything about this is like super accessible. Even the exhaust, look at the exhaust, how it's wrapped too. That's going to keep heat from rising, getting up on your butt. It even has sound deadening up underneath where your chair is at, okay? So let me ask you this. What am I not super excited about? Well, getting the seat to raise versus the other one, these wing nuts are not convenient. And to get the oil in here on the top of this motor and only have a few inches of ground clearance, I'm going to try to get one of those things that connect to your oil, your fresh oil that has a tube that goes down into it. The one that I have is only about a foot. That one almost needs a lot longer. And so that way I don't have to take the seat off or take the seat up in order to get oil to it. That is to be determined. I'm not super excited. I'm trying to change the oil, so I'm trying to put fresh oil back in. And sure enough, but I love other things about this. Now, when it shipped, it sure came dirty. Like, I don't know who was running this machine, but I was surprised to see that much. The diesel exhaust, I already wiped it down. I was a little surprised to see they must have ran this for some time, even though the hour meter shows nothing, shows 0.0 on it. Let's see, I'm trying to think of anything else. The mat down here is Velcroed down onto it, and this mat is not the same kind of mat that I saw on, I hate saying the cheap ones, because I thought that the 15P and the QK16R were not like the cheap ones. Like, the cheap ones were like the 1.2 ton, the 12s, H12Rs, those. I really think at the end of the day, there are really only a couple manufacturers in China. One of them is High Top, and the other one is Vote, V-O-T-E. And I believe Vote makes this, and I can really tell the quality difference. Like, if I was going to buy an excavator, obviously this is the one I bought for me. Originally, I did buy the other ones for me, but what it did was it ended up convincing me to buy this one because I didn't want to have to go do all the mods to them. Every one of them needed mods, hydraulic, oil filters, all of that. So let's see. There are panels to access the inside. So there's a, let's see, I think it's the radiator. These are water-cooled machines. So this panel is accessible, which is really nice. There's also an adjustment to the seat on the other side that I had not seen before. If you want to take a look at this right here, this knob. And then what that does is it elevates the seat forward or back, so that when you're, leaning back, maybe you like to lean back further. I don't know, but that's kind of a cool thing. But these wing nuts, I'll see if my phone can look down there. Those wing nuts to get underneath the seat, that's a pain in the butt. And it does have the adjustment here for the seat. So I'm gonna look into that. Maybe I can move the seat and it's more accessible. The other thing is that the keys for the ignition and the keys for the back cover, there's only 2. The other ones actually had 3 keys. One for the ignition, one for the hydraulic cover, and a separate key for the back. And that means there's 6 keys they give you, right? Because they're spares. So I'll make sure I take the 2 of these keys. Nice to have less. I think that's smarter. I just love that you can fill it up right there, super easy. These pilot controls feel just slightly different than the other ones that I had. So I don't know how to explain that a little bit. I feel like this is like generation 2 of the pilot. They're good. The other thing I noticed is there's a bolt here along with this. And I see that, I don't know if this is a flange or what this is called, but I am surprised how like every one of them, almost every one of them have that. So it like really helps hold it in. Again, the protection that you're seeing here, some of these hoses on some of them are like way out here. So better fit and finish. Also the diameter of the hydraulics is thicker. And if you see this, hydraulic thumb cylinder. This cylinder it's way thicker than the one that I had from Miva. And at the auction, I actually bought an extra I bought two actually accidentally on the auction. I don't know. I mean, maybe you're better at the auction than I am, but I had a tendency, like I really wanted something, I would bid and then bid again. But one thing I will tell you about buying it directly from the guys reselling them. So, Typhon, these guys are reselling these from Vote, I believe, and whether they admit it or not, that they're doing a great job. Like if I went to go buy one, like, should I get one from an auction or should I get one off eBay? Literally from the plate, where I bought it, it was probably $1,000 difference from the auction. But I just noticed that it came together much better. I know that you're seeing me that I changed the oil, but I want you to know that, or what I saw in the oil was way better than the other two, because I changed both the oils on the other minis, and they needed it. Like day one, I actually saw granulars in it. I put a magnet in overnight, and I pulled it up. There were shavings. I haven't done that on this, but I can tell you right now, it's not a shipping fluid. So I do have a laundry list of all the things you want to do when you get a Chinese excavator. Like, go through this list. It's required, mandatory to go through so that you can have longevity out of your machine. I don't think you need to on the diesel as much. I'd probably put a couple hours on it, then do it. But I'm not that way. I'm sorry. When I buy something, I don't care if it's a car, any motor I get, I want to know exactly the point of the oil changes of when I received it. Whether it's new or used, I immediately change all the fluids. And maybe that's, wasting money that I don't need to spend, but maybe I sleep better at night knowing that I did it. And a lot of these ship with shipping fluid so they can pass inspections and regulations, where, here you want to get the proper spec fluids. So I plan on changing out the hydraulic fluid soon on this. Oops, I'm sorry. So I just, again, the fit and finish of every one of these, I really like. The quality of and the size of the cylinder, I like that. And, let's see what else. I'm not sure what else. I'm really hoping that these tracks, because I actually bought an extra set of tracks for the other ones, so I'm going to list those at my local Craigslist or marketplace and see if I can sell them. But this Typhon unit, this is a thumbs up. Absolute. I mean, the newer generation of this is really, really nice. I haven't found anything on it that I really don't like, but I would have loved that the quick disconnect could have been built in, because they're like $6.99 on Amazon. And now I have to kind of run all that. That's the only mod that I really need to do, other than if I want lights or other accessories. But those, adding that seems pretty simple. So anyway, I really do hope that this provides some level of, level of information you didn't have, because trying to find this online and have any conversation about these things. So I really like it a lot. I operated the boom and that, and I just saw how smooth all the operations were. I mean, it didn't take me to get off and down the ramp, and I can already feel the difference. But again, you get what you pay for. So you don't need to make the comment that they cost twice as much. Okay, I agree. But I'm explaining why it was worth to me to pay twice as much, because I do want to have this. I want to have it for a long time. So, all right, you put in the comments things that you are interested in that you want to see other than go dig on it, because right now I'm not going to go dig in the snow. As you can, I got blowers, and I'll let my Bobcat be my winter toy. And then we will look forward in the spring. I got some jobs around the property. I got 2 major jobs that I want to do, so I'm looking forward to it. So stay tuned. So I'll apologize if you were hoping to see it run and dig and all of and the operations of it, but That's part 2. And if I get enough good feedback, then there will be a part 2. So anyway, you can always look at Facebook and go to the Chinese mini excavators or Chinese diesel excavators, and you might find me out there. So posting information. All right, thank you all. Take care.